I woke up from a dream early this morning, realizing that this week right here marks my 31st anniversary with this beautiful forest in South Charlotte, North Carolina. I didn't know in November of 1992 how these trees would allow my weirdness to feel welcome inside an area of my life that was quickly changing. It wasn't until nearly 2 years later that I began a daily writing lifestyle, and it required me to be with this forest daily at sunrise. You learn so much while the rays of light stretch through the unconditional love of the trees, landing on your writing page. So many photographs have been taken of the long shadows of a writing hand holding on to the instrument. In fact, the pen I'm using this morning is the very one that's featured on the cover of my very first book, One Man's 1021 Thoughts. So I write to the future reader, and I speak with the future listener. I hope that by the time that this message reaches you, beyond this anniversary, the 31st year, you too will have felt the amazing love from this forest in South Charlotte, North Carolina. Hey, it's Errol. This is The Daily Mess, a chronological walk through an everyday world. I am that daily writer. I am a silent wolf. I watch life. I view it with a keen eye, a sense of humor, and a willingness to be the student. And then we just talk. This is The Daily Mess. One of the most difficult things to accomplish as that daily writer is training your thoughts to stay free from identifying your place on the calendar. Unless it's a major mile marker event set inside a headline-driven moment of history. It's who we are. To think our present place is going through so many unexpected news events, only to be reminded by actor Rob Reiner on his podcast, Who Killed JFK? He reminds us of the decade's events and global worries. I literally have found myself wondering how I would be at 61 years old in America, a white male, during the Cuban Missile Crisis. The threat of nuclear bombs blasting, it was very real back in the days of the early 60s. And yet here we are in 2023. See, I just put a timestamp on it. Staying true to staying free from identifying your place on the calendar, it teaches your heart to fill the moment with everything else moving around us. We aren't designed by history makers, but rather our imaginations and a heart vowing to locate. I want to share that one more time. We aren't designed by history makers, but rather our imaginations and a heart vowing to locate. What are you planting in your imagination? For me to listen to Rob Reiner's podcast, Who Killed JFK? It physically picked me up from this present place of now and set me inside the early 60s, stretching up into the mid 70s and beyond. And I asked myself the question, how would I have reacted if I would have been that 61-year-old man that I am now in that moment? How much fear and anxiety would I have gone through? And would I be able to release it with the power of a writing instrument on the innocence of a page? What are you planting in your imagination? History makers don't design you. Your imagination and your heart seeking to locate does. Get them under control by listening to them, figuring out who you are, why you are, and what if. I'm Arrow, and that's The Daily Mess.